Hey, Dan Passarelli here. Well, we had the Fed announcement yesterday, and it was interesting. Some things have fundamentally changed, and I don't know if you've taken notice to that. Now, earlier in the year, and what drove this pretty massive rally since the end of last year has been the narrative that was started by Powell when he said that we expect three interest rate cuts in 2024. And now the market is maybe expecting, well, before going into this announcement, they were expecting maybe not just no interest rate cuts, but an interest rate hike. Now, Powell attempted to quell fears about that and did so successfully. The market is fairly stable today. But there's a few interesting data points that I want to share with you. First of all, today was the weekly unemployment numbers, and the labor costs quarter over quarter were 4.7% versus 3.6% estimated and just 0.4% prior. So what that means is labor costs are going up, and that is one of the key targets for the Fed to worry about, because if labor costs go up, that affects the costs of everything. Also, the initial jobless claims were 208,000 versus 212,000 estimates. That means fewer people filed for unemployment. So these are both signs of a very, very robust labor market. Also, the job cuts, the challenger job cuts, were about 64,000 versus 90,000 prior. So much fewer job cuts. Again, showing that we have a very robust labor market, which I think is some of the thing that Powell is worried about. Now, another thing I want to take a look at is there's been this narrative in some sectors that we don't have a strong economy. And I look at the numbers, especially like these, and I think, what are they talking about? And I kind of tried to figure that out. And what people said is, well, it's the pocketbooks. And so I looked at a couple of things today, and one of them is consumer sentiment. So consumer sentiment, as you can see here, it came down a little bit from March, but it's still very, very high. If we expand this out a little bit to 5 years, I mean, it's not extremely low or anything. This is basically sort of the median over the past 5 years. Let's go back to 1 year here. Another thing that I wanted to take a look at here, consumer spending. So take a look at consumer spending. Now, look, if the pocketbooks were getting tight, we wouldn't see consumer spending going up, 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 and up. In the first quarter, we have the highest that we've seen in many years. If we go out to the 5-year, it's the highest that we've seen in 5 years. Now, one other interesting element to look at is GDP. And if we just look at the regular GDP number, that's been climbing and climbing and climbing since 2017 too. Looking at the 5-year here, just to make it real easy to look at. So, one more thing to look at is personal consumption. This is when people talk about the pocketbooks, people aren't spending. Well, actually, people are spending. And so all this leads me to wonder, what will the Fed's next move be? Will it be to cut interest rates when the labor market and spending and confidence and GDP are all growing, extremely robust? What would be the rationale for cutting interest rates, especially when we see that inflation is not coming down? So the market does act and react psychologically to how the media portrays some of these things. And so that is one of the things that can give us an edge in our trader to get ahead of the psychology, trade the numbers, and make better decisions. Hope that helps. This is Dan Passarelli, Trade Smart.